MatJam02, I'm a freelance mercenary. I've killed 37 people in the past 7 months, and I need a scratch to come to the scratch arena and arrest me. No! I'm not joking, please. There are people after me, and I need, please, just come and arrest me. Get me out of here. Please. I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
I bring the match, you bring the gasoline. It turns me on when you set me on fire. Enter my bloodstream, you are my nicotine. I need a fix, can we get much higher?
Us at the Scratch Police Department want some answers. Care to say who is responsible for hiring you?
Alright. Where do you want me to start? We started the famous scratch party. I was there. It was a decent party, not that I got in, and I don't want to lie, but a part of me thought I would. What do you mean I'm not on the list?
I'm sorry, but you're the 55th person I've denied access to already. Please leave me alone.
But I was a runner-up in that competition.
But did you win? No. So back away, buddy, and go talk to your other destitute friends.
This party sucks.
How do you think I feel? I'm not allowed in, mate. Yeah, I'm getting paid. But I don't get to meet all the famous people.
Decent excuse.
Wait, kid. What's your name? Haven't we met before?
The name's MatJam, as I've said to you 55 times already, and no, you haven't met me before this.
And why is that?
Because this guy had met my brother. He had met MatJam02. I never met this guy before a day in my life. I've known Shooter for ages though, but he thought I was useless, uneducated, a fool. But we used to hang out, to be fair. But everything he'd do was questionable. Everyone seems to have known him though. I get mistaken for him a lot. Dirty looks everywhere I go. When I stood by his side, life was still awful, and when I left him, I expected a bit of brightness, but that didn't work out. My life before this was dismal and boring. Didn't really get much to pay the bills. I did do a bit of work though. I helped people with scripts. I didn't show my face when doing the commissions though, since Tudor's famous for computer hacking and pirating and that kind of stuff. I charged relatively low, about one follow or two, or whatever, depending on the job. Some people tipped, some didn't, and I don't really blame them. You'd have to be a real crazy to tip people in those times. I only lasted a week before I was reported, but I saw another guy, must have been famous, and he was doing the exact same thing as me, but he was congratulated. Really gives you a feel for my situation. A lot of people's situations.
You gonna tell me, or...?
No use. I walked away. I wanted to leave the party because something in the air compelled me to, so I did. The sun was shining on me that day, though I felt it was just God trying to make me feel a bit better. As I started to walk home, the anxiety started to kick in. Was this my life? Was it? And it was. And this realization of mine makes everything that happens next a little more negative. I turned around and I saw the bouncer. I noticed she looked helpless and could only understand about 2/3 of what she was slurring out of her mouth. I looked behind her though and saw what was going on. Void was there, and he was attacking everyone inside. No one dared go in, but they were all running all the same. I think I heard Sharky Shaw mention his name, which was the first time any of us had ever heard it. Everyone was trying to run away, but they were all too selfish. Only wanted to save themselves. Didn't give a second thought to anyone else. So I did the opposite. I was already different. How would it change if I kept doing that? So I ran back into the commotion and the fires and the tentacle things. It was a nightmare, but I wasn't the only one. There were a few people. I don't recall who they were, but I'd say there were about 4, 5, or 6. I don't know. And they were shielding themselves behind a rock. I saw them talking, but my ears were all muffled from the explosions and the lightning and the everything. But I saw them run into the building. I knew that if I helped them or helped their cause, I may have actually been able to get some friends or some recognition and not be known as the lookalike of that computer hacker. So I chased after them to save them, obviously, and
did you?
No, one of Void's tentacle things knocked me unconscious almost instantly, so I fell to the ground and everything went dark. Wake up, mate. This guy had saved my life for some reason. Wake up! Judah? In the flesh. What do you want? Same as you. A sense of purpose? Yeah. It's obvious to me now that no matter what I said, he could have agreed, since he brought up the topic with the same as you. He knew what I was going to be hooked into whatever he was about to say, since it would connect with me emotionally and mentally, since he thought my tiny little mind would connect the dots between same as you and what he says next.
What happened next?
Welcome to my crew. What crew? We're an offspring of the Kata movement, who believe ults are superior to mains. Why be an offspring? If you have the same beliefs as them, why stray away? Would you let me finish? I thought you were... No, I'm clearly talking. Well, you paused, so I... Shut up! MatJam, just let me finish! Anyway, we believe that Void is right. Ults will never have as many follows as mains, so we have... Pretended to know who Void was for good measure. Didn't know where his course was yet. Didn't want him to lash out on me again. I've been asleep for 2 days apparently. They sent one of his men out to get some bandages for me, but never saw him again. But Shooter didn't really care, claiming he was a deadweight anyway. I stayed there for a couple hours to blow off some steam before I was finally ready to embark on whatever this mission was. But knowing Shooter, it was probably bad. It got me in some weird situations before, once which I'm still not ready to tell the world, but I was ready to ask Shooter. What's the play? In about 25 hours, we picked up radio signals that... He pointed towards his radio. It was covered in rust at the top, and the bottom of it was all black from when a small campfire of theirs was too close to it. But that didn't stop it from working. I don't know where he got it, but I'm pretty sure it was in rough condition from purchase. We rendezvous with Void at one of his many pop-ups to abduct famous scratches, and we offer an alliance to him, and then... Wait a minute, Void isn't a good guy. Why are we doing this? For the 42nd time, ults will never have... No! Void needs to be stopped, not joined. We can't just go around joining him. If you told me that he's abducting stretches, then we can't just... And first of all, I'm not even an ult, so why even wrote me... Shooter started crying. I'd never seen Shooter cry before, but he did, slightly, as he was fed up with me and my morals, decent morals in ratio to his. And then he jumped up and he stared at me, looked me dead in the eye, and he said, "Stop! Stop!" He then lunged his hand into my neck and choked me for about 10 seconds until I realized what he was doing. So I did what I had to do. I punched him, as hard as I could. He fell backwards and the rest of his group looked at me as if I was a maniac and as it was all my fault. Shooter ran to his duffel bag once he regained his mojo, which by punching him I guess I damaged, and he plunged his hand into the bag and pulled out a blaster, in a way where I felt he'd waited his whole life just to shoot me. And he did, but missed. I punched him, he shot me, I kicked him, he shot me, ditto. He was an awful shot, but that may be because I slammed his fist into his stomach. I was now wide awake, and he was too. I was trying to end the fight. In a sort of comedic way, it didn't work, and everyone else in the group looked at me as if I was now even more profoundly absurd. He and Shooter stared at each other for a split second. I could see his face. He was grieving the loss of a friend, me, and he was embarrassed that someone would think to attack him, me. And I thought I'd spare a near lifelong friend even more pain from me, so I darted towards his duffel bag and grabbed it and ran through the underbrush. I ran as fast as I could. I did manage to get a brief turnaround in the commotion and I could see his face. I'm not ashamed of what he said, as I was trying to save him and me from pain, but what he said really did connect with me. MatJam! You'll pay for this, you ungrateful... He started to open fire at me with his handgun blaster thing. I could smell the smoke, but he didn't hit me. But I did turn around to see one of his men following behind me, one of the more quieter ones.
Wait up!
I rolled behind a tree and delved my hand into the duffel bag. I grasped some sort of weapon. I assumed it was a tranquilizer based on a specific piece on top of the barrel, but it was. I checked later. And I didn't know if he was going to attack me or not, but just in case, I held it out and aimed it at him.
I'm not a threat, you know.
Yeah, but your boss just attacked me and none of you muffins did anything about it, so...
We're scared of him. Whoa!
I guess Tudor had realized this guy was following me, so by firing at him, he may have got me to move, which I did. I jerked sideways a bit, couldn't control my reflexes very well yet, and he saw a glint from the sun to my eye to him, so he fired at me again. I ran in another direction. The guy was still following me, and I was furious with myself. I was thinking, why couldn't I have just talked myself out of it and quit? I noticed the guy was still following me when he said,
He's like that, trust me. I'm not the only one who wanted to escape. At least I had the courage to do it. What do we do?
Me and the guy waited behind a tree for a bit to make sure no one was following us, and luckily, no one was. I heard Tudor lash out. I was still angry at myself, as I'm the reason he lashed out. I should have just talked my way out of it. So I walked over to a tree and... Oh! I punched the tree. Didn't mean to, but my hand did start bleeding. My knuckles were scraped, scarred, and bruised, and this gave away our position as I heard Tudor say to one of his men, "I think we have a lead, boys." Dude, we gotta go.
Dude, your hand, what?
We gotta go right now. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Oh no. We reached the cliff and we were out of options of where to go. I could see Tudor coming, and he arrived with a blaster point blank to my forehead, and he said, "You honestly disgust me, and I want you out of this damn world!" He suddenly realized he'd wasted all of his ammunition falsely firing at me through the forest, and when I realized that as well, I gave him a nice smug smile. I don't know why I did that. It was the worst mistake of my life. Well, one of the worst mistakes of my life. But I did it anyway. "Where's my equipment bag?" "You mean that bag?" I pointed towards the bag. I'd already thrown it off the cliff. I heard some stuff shatter in there, but if he couldn't get it, I couldn't get it, Void couldn't get it. And that's what mattered. Huh? That was the wrong decision. Tudor pushed me off the cliff. It was a 10-meter drop, and the moment I hit the ground, I rotated a bit, so my ribs took most of the damage. Oh! I was out cold. And after a bit, I started to twitch. I could feel it from my unconscious mind, or whatever you want to call it. And slowly, I woke up. The guy, still hadn't gotten his name, was next to me, and I stupidly started tearing up, thinking about what I'd done.
Hey dude, are you alright?
No. He rummaged through the bag and pulled out some random liquid and insisted I drank it, which I did.
Deep breath, man. In and out.
We waited a bit and just indulged in some decent conversations until the liquid started getting to my head and affecting... Hey man, I think this liquid is affecting my brain vein things, I forgot what they're called.
Okay.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just my trauma from the drop and my broken ribs acting up, or my amnesia or concussion from the famous scratch party disaster messing with me, or whatever, but you know what we should do? We should kill Void. Then people will see then people will see us.
Maybe you should sit down.
Then, I guess I fainted. I think it was a mix of all my previous assumptions combined or something like that. I don't know how long I was out for, but I woke up, laying under the stars. I glanced over and I saw the guy there, drowned in slumber. I realized I had to take Void out. If Tudor didn't have his radio and all his equipment was with me, most of it broken though, Scratch still had a chance. I still had a chance. I wanted to start moving and get there in time, since I found a miniature radio, handheld, had the same details as Tudor's radio. I lifted myself back up to try and get something quick to eat, a small little snack, but I fell right back to sleep. I had a dream though.
I'm sorry to interrupt you for a second, but does this dream have anything to do with...
Not really, but let me speak, and as I said, we'll get there. In that dream I was invisible, and everyone looked for me, more specifically Tudor and the guy next to me, and no one could see me. Then suddenly I stomped on this grape, and it squished underneath my boot, staining it a bit, but everyone could then see me. I was no longer invisible. Everyone always tells you your dreams mean something, and there's no denying what this one meant.
MatJam, wake up!
What?
There's a military base around 30 minutes away, and they've detected an unusual and strange molecular presence nearby. Energy signatures match the ones emitted from the famous Crusher party.
Void?
Yeah.
Then that's our shot. We walked for a few miles, silence. We didn't speak at all until he stopped in his tracks and in a confused voice said,
Are you anything like Tudor?
"No." I tried to keep walking, but he didn't move. I turned and I looked at him, and I could see it in him, in his DNA, in his blood, in his eyes. Tudor had hurt him a lot, and he thought I was going to do the same to him. I'm not like Tudor. I was, but I'm no longer like him at all.
I believe you. The name's Sebastian, by the way.
How long do we have?
We have to be there in under 10 minutes, so we better start walking fast.
Me and Sebastian kept on walking. I knew his trust in me had dropped a little since I said I used to be like Tudor, but I don't think it lowered it too much. We kept on walking through the underbrush until we heard gunshots. And when we did, Sebastian turned around immediately. I could tell his time with Tudor had left him with the seeds for PTSD, but there were bigger things at stake at the moment.
You ready?
Always have been. He threw down the bag, which he'd been carrying on our little hike, trek, whatever, and we opened it. There wasn't much undamaged items in there, probably a blaster or two. There were, though, a strawberry brooch and a bee brooch. I put the strawberry one on, and he put the bee or wasp one on. I couldn't really tell what it was. I gave him a blaster, about a 22, and I had the same model.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
He tossed his arms in the air when giving me his plan. I could tell he hadn't been listened to for a long time, and I think me and you both know who by. But he knew I was listening. His frantic blurring of his plan slowed down, and it ended with the emphasis on one simple phrase.
Talk, then attack.
Okay. We ran through bushes and a couple trees to see the entire military base in ruins. Void had one member grabbed by the throat and brought up their profile for everyone to see. That army member had 1,000 followers. He opened a void portal below him and dropped him down into it, but at the last second, he went down to 999 followers. I unfollowed him. Thought Void would spare him, but no, he didn't, and I saw him fall down and scream.
What do we have here?
He rotated his head away from the other cowering Scratch military agents towards me and Sebastian.
An uprising? You want to be noticed? Ha! I've seen it all before.
No, this isn't about recognition.
I looked at him, confused. That's what I was in for, but him, I don't know about him. Though, judging on what he just said, I assume not.
Hey, don't think you're the one calling the shots.
My name is MatJam02. Prepare to die. He blasted at us. I ran to the left, and Sebastian must have not been thinking, because he did too. Why are you running to the left as well?
I don't know.
We ran down the military base. I didn't look back. Seb did though, and when he did, he ran faster, and I followed suit. We eventually reached the end of it. Couldn't leave. Needed a level 5 Scratch military clearance card, which we obviously didn't have. We couldn't cut it since it was electric, and we couldn't climb it because it was electric.
Now you die, boy! As many have before.
He opened a portal beneath me and started educating me on famous Scratches. I'm not famous.
But you got in my way!
Then go ahead and kill me! Sebastian looked at me, confused, as to why I just blurted out what may have been my final words. But I knew Void could see it in me, the sadness, the misery. So to seem more tough, I wanted him to think of me as crazy and heroic and the opposite of alone.
Very well.
I knew he was about to widen the portal beneath me, so I'd fall right through. But he needed to do his long, groaning speech first. Suddenly, the ground started to shake. Sebastian and I looked at one another in disbelief. We may survive past today. And then, as we heard the rotor blades soaring in,
"Get on the ground, Void. You're under arrest."
Void looked at them and then back at us, then repeated it again and again and again.
"Open fire."
Jesus!
They started firing at Void, but you could probably guess that from a military leader booming out loudly, "Open fire." He screamed out a bunch of military terms I didn't know the meaning of, and Void left. I guess we all weren't worth his precious attention, and he needed another famous Scratcher,
Scratch off his list.
as Sebastian put it, but I don't know if he intended the pun.
What do we do now?
I was understandably furious at the situation. I don't think Sebastian was that much, really, as much as me, but that's the way the world works. I had to let my frustration out somehow, though, so when we walked out of the military stronghold space place thing and back into the forest, I walked over to a tree and just started punching it. Slowly at first, but then, as the defeat kicked in, I started doing it faster until I broke my damn hand. Ah! A few moments later, me and Sebastian were with about 10 scratch military agents. 4 of them were the ones Void attacked earlier, who we sort of saved, and the first 6, who came in the helicopter, they asked us a bunch of crappy questions like...
So how many of our soldiers were killed?
And questions like...
Do you know these soldiers' names? We need to contact their families.
All the questions were about him. Not a single comment of how I was or how long I fought Void for, which I don't know if our little scramble was a fight, but...
Alright, that'll be all for now.
Didn't say a thank you or anything. A bit rude, right? But the original 4 guards stayed and talked to Sebastian and I.
Hey, thanks back there.
No problem. Why are you guys still here?
We were dropped from the military due to what unfolded just then. Apparently it's not right, since it may plant the seeds of PTSD.
The moment he said PTSD, me and Sebastian looked at each other. Yeah.
I'm Private Buffalo. That guy over there is Private Cherry.
Hey yo.
That's Private Grandson.
So...
And that's Private.
His name's Private?
Yeah, I'm Private. Huh.
Hey man, you okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine.
You sure? Your eyes are a dark purple color, you know.
I'm fine. Just let me go sit by the bag and rest. I went to the bag. I rummaged in it as the others talked behind me. I pulled out a flip phone. There were a few cracks in it, but by counting it was stuffed inside a boxing glove. Yeah, it survived the fall. I typed in Shooter's number, ready to give up, return the equipment, and just die, I guess. I was about to click call until I received an incoming call. To me. Unknown number. I picked it up, though. Stupid decision, right? But, and the person on the other end of the line said,
Hello, MatJam02.
Hello? Who are you?
I stand behalf of a group called Calypso. You don't know we exist, because we don't. You want to kill Void, right? Do exactly as I say, and I can make your dreams come true. And people will see you.
The voice went on for a bit, and I smiled at what he said. I ran over to the others who were still talking about the fight, and their exclusion from the army. And then I, still coughing, ran up to them and said, I know how we can kill Void.
How?
How?
It's not exactly legal.
What is it?
I just made a deal. A big deal. Someone just spent a lot of money on me, on key cards, to a place where we can get real good armor. Then get picked up in a real nice car and provided with real nice weapons.
Where?
Underrated HQ. On the way, which Private knew for some reason, we talked. We introduced ourselves to one another properly, and I explained the plan. But I still had this weird cold. I didn't know where I got it, but I felt awful. Eventually, we got there, in the end. We were struggling how to get in until Buffalo had the fantastic idea of just giving me my blaster, and I just shot a window, and we all knew what to do, so we started the plan. I put the blaster in my pocket and walked down the hallway. Someone was walking by my side. They looked like a purple hippo or something.
Hey, are you okay?
Yep, I'm fine.
Are you sure? I can take you to the infirmary if you want.
Yep, I'm fine. It's just a cold. I walked down the hallway and connected to Private over our communicators. The car here yet?
No, not a trace.
He said he'd be round the back. If he's not there in a few minutes, page him again.
On it.
Me and the hippo parted ways down an intersection, and I walked straight until I reached a door only available for authorized personnel. There was a guard outside. I flashed him the blaster, and he stared at me. Didn't move over, so I said, Move out the way, I have a blaster. He still didn't budge. Thought he was deaf, so I said again, Move out the way, I have a blaster. He still didn't move over, so the only thing I could do was a bit extreme. I put the blaster to his head, and he put his hands in the air, and finally moved over. I moved the blaster from it, and a few seconds after, shot the lock at the door, blasting shards of wood into my knee, which I had to remove before I went into the room. I saw the two suits, old prototypes of that guy that ran this place's suit, the alleged Wally 10-0. The suits were both white and silver, no colouring at all. The chest area felt a bit bland, but they looked like they'd do the jobs just fine. I grabbed both of them and used some rope on the other side of the room to tie them to my back, and the two helmets I just carried on my shoulder. I ran out the room, back down the corridor until I was confronted by some guy. Looked like he was made of clay or something, I don't know. He asked what I was doing with grade 5 battle gear and he didn't recognize me, etc. I could explain. He didn't listen and he raised up his shotgun-like blaster and aimed it at my forehead. I put my hands in the air. Don't make me do this. I dropped to the ground suddenly and pulled out a blade concealed in my shoe, and I hopped up ready to... yeah, but he was already taken care of. I could see wet clay all over the wall on my face, and I could see Sebastian standing there with his blaster. I smiled at him and he smiled back.
The car is here, guys.
Everyone meet at the southeast exit. Go.
So we all ran, fast, holding glasses and aiming them in front of us. Down one hallway, but there was a crowd who parted like the Red Sea once I let a shot up into the air. We reached the back. Buffalo, Sebastian, grandson, Cherry and I ran out the door and saw his blacked out limousine, really cool looking. I saw Private opening the door and diving in. We all followed suit with me last, and I closed the door and untied the armor from my back, and we all took a glance at the driver.
Hello?
The guy didn't say a word and just started driving. I had no idea where we were going, but we had the armor. That's what mattered. We arrived there pretty soon. The driver leaned back and blindfolded us, and one by one we were escorted back out of the car and into a tunnel. I imagine they did this so...
I have no idea where we are.
That's the point.
As soon as I could, I immediately ripped off my blindfold. We were now in a weird briefing-like room. No windows. The walls, roof, and floor were fully painted black, and I could see the 5 others with me, sitting next to me. And then a figure walked out in front of a stage. Since there were no lights on, I couldn't really make out his face, but I quickly noticed he was wearing a mask, probably so his employees could never out him or reveal who he really was, since we didn't know who he was.
You all have the gear. I want to remind you again. I've spent over 60% of Calypso's savings on you guys, since I believe in you.
He blabbered on about our plan. I was listening, but my main objective was to figure out who the heck this guy was. I assumed he only exposed, if I put it like that, who he really was to the people he trusted most. At this point in time, that wasn't us.
MatJam, you'll fight Void first, and after 4 minutes 27 seconds, the others will come in and assist you. Since you have the most overpowered armor suit and weaponry, apart from Sebastian. But as he's previously said about 50 times,
I'm not good at hand-to-hand.
And both of you have swords, so...
I was focusing greatly at the man. He was definitely the one who'd spoken to me on the phone, the head of Calypso, I assume. But I don't know if it was fair to study every inch of him. I respected his privacy.
MatJam, you listening?
Yes, sir. After we were done at the briefing, we all had small checkups to make sure we all knew the plan, and mostly since our benefactor had noticed my sniffles and gags and coughs and whatever the hell else.
The energy signature Void released has undergone into your immune system and given you some sort of sickness.
But I can still go and fight?
You still swing a sword, right?
Me, Sebastian, Buffalo, Private, Grandson, and Cherry arrived at the Scratch City Center place in a helicopter. We couldn't see the pilot, weren't allowed to, plus the window again was blacked out. Once we got there, he shouted out, in a text-to-speech kind of voice, "Jump." And we all jumped out and parachuted out and landed pretty quickly, because we weren't that high above the ground.
Huh. There's no one here, eh?
We in the wrong place?
I don't know.
I doubt it, but maybe he got the wrong tracking coordinates? We saw an explosion, and a large abundance of smoke went into the sky. I gazed up at it, and we saw him. He saw me, I think, since he did stare down at me. Well, us, I should say. And then he started zooming at us. In his flying state, I thought he may have smiled a bit. Not with his mouth, but with his eyes, and not his mouth. It's weird to imagine, but you get it, right?
Guys, give MatJam his 4 minutes now. We have to run.
Run!
They all ran as soon as they even saw Void coming. They were meant to be timing the 4 minutes and 27 seconds from when I struck my first blow and run after that, only after that, which our benefactor had made very clear.
You again?
He only said that and then started attacking me. He took a good look at me, though, seeing the armor I had and the weapons, more particularly the sword, which I had just hit him with, and my cold as well. Achoo! And the battle begun. Ah! He knocked me down. Not as easy as he had before, but does it matter? It did to me, but not to him. Not in the least. He was about to throw me down into his portal into the void until I and he simultaneously looked to our lefts after hearing someone step on a can. It was Sebastian, who along with the other four decided to skip the 2 minutes and 47-second wait, even though they were told no matter what, whether I was down or not, they had to wait. No! The five ran into the field. They must have realized I needed help on their own accord, but Void turned around and faced them in the eye. He blasted them, but his aim was a bit off though, since the five of them were running in a diagonal direction. So his blast hit an electrical pipe, causing a surge to magnetize itself to their armor, electrocuting them immediately. And then, within a few seconds, the pipe exploded, knocking them off the ledge. Oh God! I started running towards the explosion as Void looked on in success. He turned away from me, though, as if he was too good for me, and walked off just as I heard him say,
"They're coming!"
I ran over to the ledge. It was burning a bit, but the flames were dying out by the time I got there, though the rubble layering on the left edge of my boot was becoming slightly singed until the flames dimmed away. No, please, no. When I properly reached the ledge and I looked down and I saw them, I didn't know if they were alive at all. I turned right to see a staircase and immediately started running towards that. While running down I saw another scratcher, pretty sure they were famous, planning an attack on Void. They didn't even care. I know they saw me, but didn't even acknowledge me, or them. I reached them and their pulses were... No! I fell onto my knees and called for help. I could see a battle was going on above me, but I wasn't going to abandon them. After about half an hour, the battle started to calm down and I could hear something opening in the sky, but I wasn't paying attention to it. In that moment, a scratch team agent found me and the bodies.
Sir, what happened?
That guy is, Cherry. Some grass. That's Private, that's Buffalo, and that's Sebastian on the right. The agent nodded to himself and then ran off. I didn't know if he was going to get help or I couldn't really trust anyone yet. So I waited there for about 10 minutes before he came back with 1 or 2 medics. I can't really recall the specifics. And they helped me lift the bodies onto a stretcher and told me to leave. But sir, they're my friends.
Sir, these aren't the only casualties today. The hospitals are packed. I'm sorry.
Suddenly I lost hope in everything. Everything. I walked up the stairs to willingly succumb to Void. There was nothing in it for me anymore. Nothing. But all I saw was a sea of people, and Hunted Skelly at the front giving a big speech. It seemed as if it was going on forever. I thought I should listen along to just sink into my thoughts, and then it hit me. I just wasted Calypso's money. I made a bet. One that I lost. I didn't beat Void. I didn't complete my duty and oath to them, so they'd be coming. And then it all cut to black.
Okay, look, we're gonna have to end this chapter on your life here. I'm getting tired, and since you're finally getting to the part I want to hear about, I need a fresh mind for all that, alright?
Can you leave me alone then? I just need to think over everything for a bit.
Of course.
Singing to the choir, I need a fix, will you? Please try me. Please try
We're close to deciphering anyone in MatJam's tale. We need more information though. Look into Calypso further.